They say walls have ears, but in my line of work I make sure of it. My name is Veronica. I'm 28 years old, and I'm a restoration architect in Charleston. While my husband Julian and my sister Sloane were busy planning my mental breakdown to steal my $12 million inheritance, I was busy installing the very cameras that would catch them in the act. They thought I was a dusty builder losing her mind. They didn't realize I was the one who designed their cage. The St. Clair estate was my life's work, a historic mansion I'd spent 16 hours a day restoring. But lately, things were disappearing. My keys, my phone, even my memories. Julian, a cold-blooded wealth manager, would sigh and tell me I was exhausted. My sister Sloane, a spoiled socialite, would look at me with fake pity and ask if I'd taken my vitamins. I wasn't losing my mind. I was being gaslit. They wanted me declared mentally unfit, so Julian could take over my power of attorney and sell the estate to a developer. I'm 28, and I need to know, have you ever felt like someone was making you feel crazy just to hide their own dirt? Type truth in the comments if you've been there. Also, tell me where you're listening from. I'm reading every single one. One night, I pretended to take the vitamin Julian gave me. I waited until I heard them whispering in the kitchen. I opened my laptop and logged into the hidden server for the 4K camera. I tucked into the crown molding of the master bedroom. The screen flickered to life. There they were. My husband's hand was on my sister's waist. How's the sedative mix working? Sloane giggled. She's a total zombie. Can we list the house by Monday? The judge is ready to sign, Julian whispered back. Once she's in the private facility, we split the $12 million. You get your $3 million fee, and I get a life without a dusty architect. I sat in the dark, watching my world crumble on a screen. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. In restoration, when a foundation is rotten, you don't patch it. You demolish it. Julian, I whispered to the empty room. You want to play the grieving husband? Let's give Charleston a show they'll never forget. Julian thought he was clever. He'd hand me a glass of water every night with a vitamin and a kiss, telling me I needed to rest. I'd wait until he turned his back. Then I'd spit the pill into a sample jar I kept hidden in my restoration kit. By Wednesday, I had a week's worth of evidence. I didn't go to our family doctor. Julian had him on speed dial. I drove 2 hours out of Charleston to an independent lab. I told them I was testing for hazardous contaminants in an old building. I wasn't lying. I was testing for the hazard living in my own bedroom. The lab technician didn't bring me a printed report. He walked into the waiting room with a face as white as a sheet. Veronica, he whispered. This isn't a vitamin. It's a high-potency veterinary sedative used for tranquilizing large animals. If you had actually swallowed these for another week, your nervous system would have started to collapse. You wouldn't have been exhausted, you would have been a vegetable. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I didn't let a single tear fall. They weren't just trying to commit me to an asylum to steal the St. Clair estate. They were willing to break my brain to get the deed. I drove back to the mansion and played the zombie role perfectly. I walked with a shuffle. I let my eyes wander. I watched as Sloane and Julian stood in the parlor, literally measuring the walls for the new developer's renovations. Roni, the gala is tomorrow, Julian said, his voice dripping with fake concern. We've invited the whole city to see your final project before you go to the wellness retreat in Savannah. It's going to be a beautiful farewell. A farewell, I echoed, my voice sounding hollow. Yes, I want everyone to see what we've built here, Julian. I want them to see everything. I spent the night in the basement. I wasn't sleeping. I was uploading the toxicology report and the master bedroom footage into the history of the house. Presentation. Julian thought he had bribed Judge Sterling to sign the commitment order on Monday. He didn't know I'd already sent the judge a private link to my hidden server. The judge's reply was short. I'll be at the gala, with the sheriff. The stage was set. The house was restored. And the skeletons were ready to walk out of the closet. There's a specific silence that happens right before a building collapses, the moment the structural integrity fails and everyone realizes there's no way out. Standing in the ballroom of the St. Clair estate, Under the chandeliers I had personally polished, I felt that silence. I looked at the old money of Charleston, the lawyers, the socialites, and Judge Sterling. They were all holding champagne, waiting for the history of the house. They didn't know they were about to watch an autopsy. Julian stood by the projector, looking like the perfect grieving husband. He'd spent the last hour whispering to the guests that I was having a difficult night and that this was my farewell party before I went to a wellness retreat in Savannah. "Everyone," Julian announced, his voice booming through the speakers. "My wife Veronica has worked so hard to restore this family heritage. But as many of you know, the strain has been difficult on her health. Before she takes some time away to recover, we wanted to show you the history of St. Clair." Sloane stood next to him, dabbing fake tears from her eyes. I stood in the back of the room, near the shadows of the mahogany staircase, holding the remote. Type "busted" in the comments if you can't wait to see their faces. I'm 28, and I was about to prove that a dusty builder knows exactly how to tear down a lie. Are you Team Veronica? Hit that like button right now. The screen didn't show the 18th century blueprints. It showed a high-definition video of Julian and Sloane in my master bedroom. The audio was crystal clear. How much longer until the judge signs the commitment papers? Sloane's voice echoed through the ballroom. The room went ice cold. I saw Judge Sterling set his drink down and cross his arms. Julian's face went from a tan glow to the color of wet drywall. "Monday," Julian's recorded voice replied. "Once she's in the facility, we list this place for $12 million. Your cut is $3 million, Sloane." I didn't stop. I clicked the next slide, the toxicology report. I zoomed in on the words, "high-grade veterinary sedative." "Julian," I said, walking toward the front of the room. "You told everyone I was losing my mind. But the only thing unstable in this house is the poison you've been dropping into my water for the last 3 weeks." Sloane tried to run for the side door, but she ran right into the Franklin County Sheriff. "Julian," I said, looking my husband dead in the eye as the judge stepped forward. "I didn't just restore the house. I restored the truth. And the incompetency papers. The judge already signed a warrant for your arrest." As the handcuffs clicked into place, the grieving husband became a common criminal. In restoration, there's a term called stabilization. It's the moment you know the building won't fall down anymore. The rot is gone, and the structure is finally sound. As the police cruisers pulled away from the St. Clair estate, their blue and red lights bouncing off the historic white pillars, I felt that stabilization in my own chest. Julian was in the back of one car. Sloane was in another. The $12 million house was silent. For the first time in years, it was finally mine and it was finally safe. The aftermath was like a surgical demolition. Because I had recorded every conversation and kept the physical samples of the veterinary sedatives, the district attorney didn't even offer them a plea deal. Julian's wealth management firm collapsed within 48 hours once the news hit the Charleston Gazette. You can't manage people's money when you're caught on 4K video, plotting to drug your own wife. Julian is currently serving 5 to 7 years for aggravated assault and conspiracy. Sloane? She didn't get the $3 million consulting fee she wanted. Instead, she got 3 years of probation and a permanent restraining order. My parents tried to call me, begging me to have mercy on my baby sister. I told them the same thing I tell my clients. You can't build a house on a swamp and expect it to stand. I haven't spoken to them since. I didn't sell the estate to the developer. Mr. Miller, the man Julian was conspiring with, tried to offer me even more money after the scandal broke just to shut me up. I tore his contract up in front of him and banned him from the property. Instead, I turned the estate into the St. Clair Center for Historical Arts. It's now a school for young architects who want to learn how to preserve the past without being trapped by it. People ask me if I'm lonely in this big house. I tell them no. Every floorboard that doesn't creak reminds me that I am the master of my own blueprints. Julian thought I was a dusty builder who could be tossed into a cell. He forgot that a builder knows exactly how to make a cage. He's sitting in a 6x9 cell now, surrounded by cold concrete. I hope he likes the architecture in there. As for me, I'm 28, I'm free, and my foundation is made of reinforced steel. The records are sealed. The restoration is complete. And the truth? Well, the truth is the only thing that actually lasts longer than the bricks. I'm Veronica, and this was my blueprint for revenge. Stay sharp, and always check your vitamins. Thanks for watching.